This episode of Choosing Your Future is brought to you by WriterLock, WriterLock.com.
Whether you're a songwriter, inventor, author, or screenwriter, WriterLock brings security, letting you know who, where, when, and how people are listening and viewing your next big idea. Visit WriterLock.com.
You know, last week we talked about how hate could be hidden in us. But this week we're going to find out some of the things that proves hate is hidden in us. Stay tuned.
Life is not about you living in the past. It's not about you living in fear. It's about your dreams. It's about what you believe. Life is about you choosing your future.
Lessons for the future begin here.
Welcome to the Choosing Your Future podcast, and it's a pleasure being with you, and thank you so much for listening and taking the time out, and hopefully these episodes help you. And visit the website, choosingyourfuture.org, and also our social media pages. You can listen to us on so many different venues, and it's great if you connect with the website, because you're going to find out there's a whole lot going on, a lot fixing to happen. There's some books coming out, several books actually. And there's some music on there. There's all kinds of things you can view. And there's the blog. You connect to the blog as well. So all kinds of great information. We've been talking about, actually we're starting a series on hidden hate, and it's a part of a book that I'm finishing up. Should be released sometime in October, November. And last episode, we talked about how things can be hidden in us. For instance, we go to the doctor, we get a checkup, and all of a sudden we feel great, everything's great, but then we find out there's something going on in our body that we didn't even have a clue that was going on. And that's the way hidden hate works. Hate is not something that's just, always just rampant. They're so rampant in the sense that, it's manifested. Okay. It's very subtle and hidden. And then finally, when the straw breaks the camel's back, so to speak, then it starts manifesting in ways that, it's undeniable. And I told you, I was trying to figure out, okay, what really is hate? And the only way I could do this, and I would encourage you to go back to the first episode where I explain this a little bit more, but I had to say, okay, what's the opposite of hate? And the opposite of hate is love. Love and hate are opposites, just like truth and lie, and life and death, and dark and light. Love and hate are opposites. And so I started working on this book because I started seeing it being a problem, not only in our society, but in so many ways. And where we left off in the last episode was, if you say immediately, this is not me, it's going to be you. I hate to tell you that, but it is. Because when a person doesn't want to search themselves, that is a good sign there is hidden hate. And, I told you we were going to go to 1 Corinthians 13 and look at this, and whether you believe in God or the Bible or not is irrelevant, because how can you argue these facts of what love is? A lot of even non-Christians love to quote this, okay? So I figured, okay, well, let's just look at this and say, okay, what is the opposite of hate? Let's go to the love chapter. 1 Corinthians 13 is considered a love chapter, so let's go look at it. And whatever we find in here, it says love is, then we're going to know that's what hate is, because it's the opposite. You're either in fight or flight mode. And so, let's just be honest. And I'm going to read this out of the Amplified Bible. And again, my goal in this is to get us to a place where we're back in proper boundaries. And I want us to go through this verse. I'm going to read this out of the Amplified Bible, and I'm going to take each part step by step And I'm going to say, okay, here's what it says love is. Here's what it says hate is. Okay. So let's look at it. 1 Corinthians 13, it says, if I can speak with the tongues of men and even of angels, but have not love, that reasoning, intentional, spiritual devotion, such as is inspired by God's love for and in us, I am only a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. Now, let's take it right there. You can speak elegant things and even very profound things that's even spiritual, okay? That even can help some people, okay? But if there's not love behind it, the words that you speak that could help end up not helping. You can offer the best advice, but if that advice isn't in love, it's not going to be heard. Okay? And what happens is it becomes very noisy. It becomes like a gong. It becomes like clashing cymbals. Just it's noisy. This is a sign of hidden hate. And what I mean by this is that you may not think the hate is in you, but other people are detecting it. And so they don't receive what you have to say. Even though what you have to say might be right. It might be the correct thing. But if it's not done in love, it's not going to be heard. It's not going to be received. It's going to sound like a bunch of noise. It's going to sound like a bunch of clanging cymbals. And people detect this. People that are teachable will detect this. People that want to change. Okay. Then he goes on to say, and if I have prophetic powers, the gift of interpreting the divine will and purpose, and understand all secret truths and mysteries, and possess all knowledge, and I have sufficient faith so that I can remove mountains, but have not love, God's love in me, I am nothing and useless, a useless nobody. So let's look at this. You can possess all kinds of spiritual gifts and powers. You can have all kinds of faith that you can move all kinds of things. But in the end, those giftings will never be received by people because there's hidden hate. You know, I'm a firm believer we all have giftings and we all have abilities and we all have wonderful talents. But sometimes those talents and those giftings never get received or heard. Not because of opportunity not being present. Not even because the skill and the craft isn't perfected. But because of the fact that there's no love in us. And so the hate in us is prohibiting these gifts from being experienced and partaken and used by others. Received by others, I should say. This is where things kind of, if you're not careful, you start playing the victim. Well, they just don't understand my gifting. Well, no. It's not your gifts that are the problem. It's not your talent that is the problem. There's a hidden hate in you. That's the problem. And that hidden hate is being detected. And you may not be showing it outward in the fact that, you're slamming things around or you're threatening people or threatening to murder people or anything like that. It has nothing to do with that. It's just the presence that you have. Your presence is not that of peace. Okay? It's not that of genuineness. There's an unsettling in you that's being detected, and people may not understand what it is. They may call it something else, but the root of it is it's not done in love. There's some kind of unforgiveness. There's some kind of hate. There's some kind of jealousy, envy. There's something in there that's not allowing that gift to go even further in life, okay, to be received. And then verse 3 says, even if I dole out all that I have to the poor in providing food, and if I surrender my body to be burned or in order that I may glory, but have not love, God's love in me, I gain nothing. You know, there's a lot of people that do a lot of charity work, but it's really not done in love. It's done to be seen. And when you do charity work to be seen or to say, look at me, that is a form of hidden hate. That sounds extreme, but it's true, because love doesn't care. Love doesn't really want to be seen. It just wants to help and give and say, you know, the Bible even talks about don't let the left hand know what the right hand's doing when you give. I mean, don't make it a show. And there's some people that love to tout their actions, their gifting to the poor. They you know, I sacrificed my life for this for this person, or you know, sometimes parents are bad about manipulating children. I sacrificed my life for you, and you don't do this, and you don't. Well, we're going to find out that's a lot of hidden hate, because manipulation is hidden hate. There's no love in manipulation. You can even find this in couples. I sacrificed this for you, and, you know, it just gets out of hand. Boundaries get crossed. It's crazy. These are things that are subtle. We don't even think about, but if love and hate are opposites, which they are, and this is what love is according to Scripture, then the opposite of these things are what hate is. And so when we give to the poor and when we want to help people, what's our motive for it? To be seen? If it's to be seen, there is a form of hidden hate in you that, you know, it may not be erupting in like some people that have already gone to the point of manifested hate on the outside, but there's something on the inside. Okay. The Cain and Abel, one of the oldest story or the first story of murder in the book. Abel offered sacrifices. They were acceptable to God. Cain's wasn't. Why? He was giving to God. He was doing the sacrifice to God. But the problem was, he had issues with Abel, to the point God even warned him, said, look, if you do good, will your offerings not be accepted? But if you don't, sin's lying at the door waiting on you. And Cain had this hidden thing. He was giving, he was doing the right thing, but he had this hidden thing towards Abel that was jealous and envy. He was mad. And then finally, it opened up to a point that it manifested, and how it manifested was the ability to kill Abel, the first murder by man. And this is the point I'm trying to make, is that hidden hate is there even when you're giving and you're doing the right things, and you're doing the right things for God, and you're doing the right things for people. You're doing all this giving and stuff. But the problem is, it's still hidden in you. It hasn't manifested. But if you don't deal with it at some point in time, it's going to manifest in something that's really something you may not be able to fix very easily at all. You are so valuable. You weren't designed to hate. That's not the way you were created. You were designed to be a person of love. And it's important that we deal with the hidden issues so that we can be what we were meant to be.
Thank you for listening to the Choosing Your Future podcast. For more information, please visit choosingyourfuture.org. That's choosingyourfuture.org.